Hi students, today I'm going to show you how to make a keychain of your very own with your name on it in Inkscape so that we can print it on the laser cutter. So what I've done is I've opened up a new document in Inkscape. This is your workspace right here, the thing that looks like a sheet of paper. And actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the document properties on that. So you'll go up to File, Document Properties, and then you'll notice that the units kind of default to millimeters, but we use inches. So I'm going to change it to inches, and then I'm going to change it to the size of a piece of paper. Most of the projects that we create will fit on a piece of paper, so that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then you can just exit out of it once you're done. And then I'm going to actually make the workspace a little bit bigger just by hitting my plus button. So find the plus button on your keyboard and you can zoom in, and then you can use these on the sides and on the bottom to kind of center everything up. Over here on the left we have our drawing toolbar, and we've got a lot of options for shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and say we've got a square, we've got an ellipse, we've got looks like a star and a pentagon. I'm going to go with a square / rectangle. To draw, what you want to do is you want to go onto your workspace, and then you want to click, drag. It doesn't really matter the size, just sort of make the shape that you want. And then when you're done, release the click. And then you'll notice that you can see the outline of the rectangle pretty well. Sometimes it's not set up for that. So you may want to go over here and check, especially if yours looks a little bit lighter than mine, where it says stroke style. So this is how you can adjust some of the colors and some of the lines on your drawings. And I'm going to go over to stroke style, and you notice it's in millimeters. Again, I'm going to change it over to inches, and then I like to set it at 0.03. That allows it to be thick enough for you to see it pretty well. And when you're done with that, anytime you want to escape from some sort of drawing capability, you can go over to where you see the arrow. So I'm just going to do the arrow right there. Now, the arrow happens to highlight the last thing I drew, which was the rectangle, and that makes it really easy for me to change the size of the rectangle. If you come up here, whatever you've selected is what the measurements are for. So you see an X coordinate, a Y coordinate. Those aren't really important right now. You see a width, and you see a height, and you see a unit. Again, we're going to change to inches. So I just did that, and then I think I would like for my keychain to be 2 inches wide. So I'm going to hit 2, enter, and then I would like for it to be 2.5 inches long. So I'm going to backspace, and I'm going to click 2.5 and enter. And now it's starting to look a little bit like I want it to. Now you can also move it around. Just wait for the 4 arrows, and you can kind of resize it a little bit or sort it. And we have a keychain. I'm going to click off that, and you can't have a keychain without a hole, so we're going to add the hole next. So I'm going to go over to the circle, and I've noticed on mine that sometimes mine pops up here where you have a choice of like a segment or an arc, or you can make the whole ellipse. If this pops up for you, just make sure that you hit the whole ellipse, and then it's the same situation. You're going to click and drag and then release when you're ready. You can also change the sizes. So I'm going to go over to my arrow. Now it's highlighted my hole. I'm going to go up here. It's in inches, but I think it'd be a good idea to make the size of the circle 0.25. That's big for all sorts of things, and we need to go ahead and fix that too. So backspace, 0.25, enter. And now we've got our hole for a keychain. The last thing we want to add is we want to add our name. So I'm going to click off that, and I'm going to go down to, and it's a little covered up by my smart board, look, I guess shortcut thing, but you can see it underneath. It's a big A, so click on that. And then same situation, you're going to want to click, drag, doesn't really matter how big it is, release, and you'll notice a cursor pops up. That's how you can type in your name. So I'm going to type in my name, and it's okay if it doesn't show up in that little text box. When I'm done, I'm going to hit my arrow, and I'm not real wild about that font, so I'm going to double click on it, and you'll notice up in the upper left hand corner all of a sudden we get a nice drop down menu, huge selection. So just find something that you really like. I think I'll go with Show Card Gothic. And I'll need to change the size of it. So to change the size of it, you can go down. Let me try 28. Not yet. Maybe 24. That looks pretty good. And then you can also, again, get the 4 arrows and drag it around a little bit. I think I might actually want to rotate that. So I'm going to see if I can rotate it. There you go. And I can make it a little bit longer. And then maybe I can even make the font a little bit bigger. That would be nice if I could do that. Let's see if I can make it 28 now. And maybe not. Let's try 26. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, and there we go. So here's my keychain. I like it, but I want to make sure that everything's centered pretty well. So what you want to do is you want to click on the outside and then click Shift. And you want to click the hole, and then you want to click the name. And then you're going to go over here to where it says Center. And we're going to center everything on the vertical axis. So I'm going to do that, and you notice that it's a very subtle movement, but it does move things around pretty well. And now we have a centered keychain. Before I forget, I'm going to go up and I'm going to save it. So File, Save. I'm going to save it in my Make folder, and I'm going to call it Kerner Keychain. I've been making a bunch of these, so I'm going to call it 4. Save. So now I've saved that, and we need to do one last thing before it's ready to print on the laser cutter. We're actually going to do 2 different processes on the laser cutter. One is called a vector cut, which means we're going to cut out our holes, and then one is called a raster cut, which is our engraving. That's the name that's actually going to go onto the piece of MDF. And I want to make sure that the laser can tell the difference between what we're actually cutting out and what we're just lasering on or engraving. So I'm going to have to change the colors, which makes it easier for the laser cutter to tell the difference between the two. Before I do that though, I kind of feel like that hole's a little high, so I'm going to click on that, and I think I'm just going to move it up a little bit. That's okay. And then I probably need to Shift and click everything one more time and do my vertical alignment. That's great. Okay, I feel really good about that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the outside again, and I'm going to click Shift, and I'm also going to choose the hole, but not the name. And then I'm going to keep the Shift down, so don't take your finger off the Shift. And I'm going to go all the way down to where you see the colors, and we're going to change the hole and the outside of the keychain to yellow. And then when you're done, you can just click somewhere on the page, and now you have a finished keychain. Looks really great. Don't forget to save again, and then you will send this over to the printer and we'll print it up. Thanks.